1. I don't work in the hotel industry, but I think that my story fits in here. My family and I had been traveling around for about a week, and there was only one night we didn't have a reservation. It was starting to get late at night, and so we just pulled into the next little discount hotel we came to. My mom and I were somehow nominated to go in and get a room, while my dad and sister waited in the car. Front desk. Hi, welcome to blah blah blah, how can I... Drunk woman cuts him off. Hi. Leans against front desk. I have a terrible breast fungus. Me, I'm really sorry to hear that. Returns attention to front desk. Drunk woman. It's really awful. It makes me itchy. Sleepy mom continues trying to get a room. Somehow, and I'm not even sure when, but drunk woman exposed her boob and started scratching it like a madwoman. Drunk woman. It's really itchy. I have a terrible fungus. Front desk, eyes wide. Me, eyes wide. Sleepy mom continues to try to get a room. Front desk. Please put your blouse back on. Drunk woman. Oh yeah, of course. Keeps boob exposed and continues scratching it. Moves closer and continues to complain about her itchy boob. Me trying to look anywhere but at this lady as we continue to check in. Front desk. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the lobby now, miss. The drunk woman walks to her room. I don't feel comfortable staying here at this point, but my mom is too tired to give a crap and gets my dad and sister from the car after we're all checked in. We return to the lobby, and the lady is back at it with her breast fungus. Drunk woman walks right up to my dad and sister and removes her boob again. I have a really awful breast fungus. Dad replies that it's the worst boob fungus he's ever seen. Drunk woman nods sadly, puts her shirt down and leaves. Apparently she just needed someone to tell her it was as awful as she thought. 2. This one starts out benign enough. My NA shift starts and I have a small line. It's Saturday and we're near a couple of casinos, not unusual. A very polite man checks in and rents a top-level suite for him and his wife. I get him in and start checking in the next couple. Being distracted, I barely noticed the previous couple come back in, only that the wife was partially obscured by the luggage cart, and I remember thinking to myself, that's an ugly woman. The night is quiet and I leave. I come in the next night to hear what unfolded after I left. The couple never came back down to check out, and have not been seen since. When housekeeping entered the room, they immediately alert the FDM. Every surface of the room is covered in lube. The bed, the couch, the jacuzzi, even the mini-fridge is covered in bottles and bottles of lube and baby oil. We know for sure it's lube because a dozen bottles are left in the tub. But wait, there's more. In addition to the lube, there's a rather large horse dildo left behind, with thick black scuff marks and cracked down the center. My FDM, in her infinite wisdom, decides that they must have been junkies and this dildo is where they are hiding their needles. She decides to pick it up to open it, safety reasons. But when she does, all that falls out is a rather impressive motor that has been burned out. The icing on this cake comes when they review the security tape. The wife is clearly a man in a wig. It's a big burly dude wearing a cheap wig. 3. We have 4 small apartments and you could say that I'm the manager. Since we are small, at our place there is only 3 people. Me and the owners, which are a husband and wife. But when I say owner, I mean the wife, who is about 60 or 70 years old. This is my second job, so I'm at the place for a limited time. My phone is our front desk. This happened last year. We had a couple from Germany. We are in Italy. They found us exploring the town. They needed an apartment, and they fell in love with our fantastic view and peace. They rented our best apartment, which was the only one available, for a week. And at the end of that, they wanted a second week, but we had to change their apartment. At the start of the second week, the man came to me a morning where I was present to do some things. Man, Will you do me a favor? Is it possible to pay for the apartments with a bank transfer? I already had a pre-authorization on the card they gave me, so I knew that they had the money. But this sounded fishy. Me. Technically, yes, but this is something that we usually do only with people that pay in advance. But we should be able to do it. Man, I will also need to have the hold on my card gone. Me, I really need to ask why. This is pretty irregular. Man, I need to make a purchase in the city, 30 minutes away from here. A big purchase. And I know for a fact that I will need to use the card. With the expenses we already have done and your hold, I already know that the card is at maximum capacity. Me, you'll need to be more specific, I still don't understand. The man explained everything to me. I won't tell you now what he told me. Me, I need to talk to the owner. We can probably help you, but I still need her approval. Owner approved doing what the man needed, but of course we took some precautions. Me, we can help you, but you'll need to send the bank transfer ASAP. As soon as we get the money on your account, I'll cancel the hold on your card. Please note that this will require about 48 hours, so act fast with the transfer. Now I got a bit nervous because I had to ask him the kind of thing that 9 times out of 10 makes the customer mad. Me, I need you to know that I believe what you are saying, but we still need to be sure that everything will end well for us too. Our final condition is to record you saying what you are going to do, and that you authorize us to charge your card again in case the bank transfer is voided. So yes, I'm basically saying that I don't really trust him, but hell, we are not risking the money for a 2-week rent over someone we don't know. Man, yes, I understand. You, of course, want to be sure that I'm not scamming you. I do the same. I took my phone and recorded the man saying what he needed while showing me his passport and credit card. The man made the bank transfer the same day, and it arrived the next day. Before cancelling the hold on his card, I called the bank to check if they believed there was something fishy, or if the bank transfer was fully cleared. Since it was a transfer done from a German bank, they couldn't be 100% sure, but they told me that it would be hard to receive a transfer from another EU country. So everything seemed alright. I removed the hold on the card and told him that in about 48 hours, he could use all the money again. Now I don't have all the details of what happened in the next 2 days, because I was at the apartments only a couple of times, and I never saw the man. He called me on the evening of the 3rd day. Man, will you do me a favor? I've already called the local pizza place and booked some pizza for tomorrow evening. But I would need you to go fetch them. Me, is this for... Man, yes, the pizza place has all the instructions. I just need someone to pick them up. So the next day arrived, I went down to the pizza place and received his order. They gave me 3 pizza boxes and an envelope for the man. It had inside the instructions for the pizza place and the ones for me. I think that someone here already knows what's going on. I brought the pizzas to the apartments and knocked on the door as I was instructed. The couple came out. The man started talking in German, which I don't understand. But I knew what he was saying, sort of. Man, why don't we eat outside? Woman, yes. I opened the first pizza, pepperoni, and asked who it was for. Woman, mine. I opened the second pizza, margarita, and gave it to the man. The woman looked at me with still 1 box in my hands. Woman, you're having pizza too? I smiled. Actually, I was almost laughing. I kneeled and opened the last pizza box. It was empty, but it had inside a ring. Again, I don't speak German, but the man probably said, "Man, will you marry me?" The woman started screaming in joy, jumped off her chair, and went hugging the man, screaming, "Ja, ja, ja!" Or whatever word they have in German for yes. They asked me to take a few pictures, and then I left them with their dinner. The man needed to use his car to go to the jewelry store. He also explained to me that his initial plan was to propose to her in Verona, which was their next stop, but they both liked our place so much that they preferred to stay here a second week. He told me that he wanted to bring her inside a jewelry store during their visit, and once inside he would have made her try on a ring, and then made the proposal. We were really honored that he preferred doing his marriage proposal here at our place, rather than in Verona, which you probably know is the city of Romeo and Juliet. Till the moment I actually saw the ring inside the pizza box, I actually kept believing this was some sort of a scam. If I think about this now that everything finished, I still don't understand everything. If you know that you're going to need the card, plan in advance. If the owner had refused to make him pay with the transfer, his plan would not work. I know that you can make a proposal even without a ring, but come on. 4. This happened last night, and it was the first time I had to call the cops on someone. I'm new. I work the audit, so I arrived at work at about 11 p.m. and clocked in. The co-worker I was relieving gave me the rundown of what's been going on, and then proceeded to warn me that our resident nut, who's been staying at the hotel for months now, has been on the prowl with her craziness. She recommended I lock the doors early. I probably should have listened to her. For detail's sake, the lobby for my property is separate, and the actual rooms are exterior, so I lock the doors at night and talk to arriving guests through a little window. The lobby is technically open 24/7 though, so if there are guests in there or the fitness room, I keep the main doors unlocked. The first hour of the night was slow. I was pretty much just waiting until it was late enough to do the audit. That is, until Nutcase came storming into the lobby screaming her head off. Nutcase. I'm going to lose my legs and fail the mission given to me by the powers above. I'm the child of God and I command you to give me a cell phone to call the cops so I can manipulate them into following my commands so I can save the world. Jesus, this lady really is crazy. Me. Nutcase, I'm sorry. I don't have the phone to give you, but there is a phone back in your room you can use. I didn't want to feed into her crazy. Nutcase. It does not work. You devil people are purposely trying to kill me. I am going to go bang everyone's doors to see if they will be true saints. Shit, she's actually gonna go do it. Me. Nutcase. You will either go back to your room or I will call the police. Nutcase. Do it, do it, do it. They will follow my orders and have you imprisoned for life. She then did exactly as she said and went out and started banging on everyone's doors, screaming at the top of her lungs in the middle of the night. So I called the non-emergency number and waited for the cops to show up. Meanwhile, she is outside screaming and people are starting to gather around. A few call me to complain. I want this crazy lady out as fast as everyone else. Finally, the cavalry arrives. I mean, like 10 cops show up in like 3 different vehicles. This lady is like 80 years old with a cane, so it must have been a really slow night. They talked to her, she tried to hit one with her cane, then they took her away to the ER because she would not stop ranting about how she was going to lose her legs. The rest of the night was dead. Not one person or phone call. Thank God too. I needed a break after that whole ordeal. Update. So I just came into work for the first time since I had to call the cops on that crazy lady, and got a nice little surprise. They actually let her stay. Apparently she's been admitted to some sort of mental care facility since the cops hauled her away. Her husband, who has been footing the bill for this hotel room for the past 6 months, just to get her out of the house, called and convinced my manager to let her stay until the court date next week, where she will most likely be taken to prison for a long rap sheet, including but not limited to assaulting a police officer, hit and run, disturbing the peace and resisting arrest. The real kicker is that she just got released tonight, so I should expect to see her sometime over the course of my shift. I'm sure she'll be super happy to see me. Edit. It's 1 a.m. and there is still no sign of her, so I think I might be in the clear. Fingers crossed. Final update, no sign of her. I had a nice calm shift. 5. She showed up at our hotel while I was on vacation in the middle of last August, and she was quiet for at least the first week she was there. I didn't know we even had a potential long-term guest until about 2 weeks into her stay, when she would start to come out and try to be more friendly with me. I'm audit at the desk and the breakfast staff. There were 2 people in this room. One lady talked to herself quite a lot, and often would be sitting in the lobby watching TV, having a good old time, chatting away with herself. We'll call her Sophia. Not her real name, obviously. She was a pleasure, in my opinion. I had no issues with her, and neither did the other guests. The second guest is our famous wheelchair lady. Wheelchair lady and Sophia, despite not being in a relationship, shared a king-sized bedroom. This often came up in conversation with wheelchair lady, where she swore Sophia was gay and that was disgusting. Meanwhile, I offered many times for them to move to a room with 2 queens. Wheelchair lady was the one to actively refuse every opportunity to move, to give them both more space. Within the first month, wheelchair lady made herself apparent. Tried to tell everyone that she was super rich from a fucking accident, not unlike the accident Tracy Morgan had found himself in a while back. Like, stupidly similar. So from this point, I'm already suspicious, and having googled the lady's name, I can't find this $1 million settlement accident for this top-end company she drove for anywhere. But the time period lines up with the Tracy Morgan accident that she was absolutely not part of. So, with the lesser-informed co-workers, she starts to weave this web of promises to buy things such as houses and whatnot, if they help her when she needs it. Okay, whatever. Over the few months she's with us, I start to piece together a background story for her. She apparently was born wealthy and grew up knowing the Bush family in Florida. Doubtful. She also claimed to have had a flower shop in Virginia that she absolutely loved dearly. And through that flower shop in Virginia, she was selling Trump flowers for his place in Jersey. Later she sold her flower shop to care for her dying dad, and then became a cross-country truck driver. I partially think she was just saying a lot of what she said, such as Trump and Bush talk, but she swore by it all. It doesn't help it was also election season. Leading up to November, all she would talk about was this same one story she had where she was invited to a party he held at his place in Jersey with his first wife, and he had a red car. No other details, just the name reiteration every time. Occasionally, she'd also claim that she was hauling a cancer drug. This will be important in a minute, and it was supposed to be the end-all cure-all of the cancer industry, as she claims it to be. Said that she was set to deliver it to the White House of all damn places, and that the Clinton administration turned her away once she got to the door. She tried desperately up until even the day of the election to try to get in contact with Trump, to tell him about this news so she could help her old friend in need get one over on the Clintons. Eye roll. The part-time auditor did send his campaign an email for her, but nothing came of that. To continue with this background, she was apparently raped upwards of 13 times. Though she spoke about 3 in near graphic detail, nearly every day, and the number of rapes changed often. And she'd only speak about these at volume, while the work guys would be getting up, grabbing breakfast, and having to rush past us to check out with me at 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. Having seen how she treated the other employees when they asked her not to speak about these things at the desk, and how management just let wheelchair lady's backlash continue, I just did my best to completely ignore this topic. Management wanted that cash, yo. How she came to be at my hotel. She was bouncing from place to place that couldn't deal with her, and my GM felt sorry for her at first. Gave us this sob story about being in a very serious trucking accident that's left her unable to walk and with heart failure, to the point that doctors 13 months prior to her stay with us claimed that she was terminal. We have all seen her walking, that's just bull. Due to the trucking accident, she claimed she was a millionaire, and if we were all found to be good people in her eyes, as God has given her the ability to know true good, yeah, totally a religious crazy too, she'd buy us a house. Well, I'm an adult. I have a house, so I didn't give a fuck. I didn't treat her any more special than I do any other guest that happened by me. Wheelchair lady was also a pillhead, and halfway through her stay her pill script ran out. So she went from having a dealer take some to sell, so she could have food money, to begging employees and guests if they'd go out and buy her some because she would die apparently without them. Helped the heart failure apparently. Now that I don't think I'm leaving anything out about her past, let us get on to the issues we faced with her as a guest. Wheelchair Lady was always broke, and her and Sophie would survive on Sophie's monthly disability check from a different state. Wheelchair Lady would take most of Sophie's money to gamble it away at the casino, a mile from the hotel, often rolling herself there, heart failure and all, to blow it. The entire time she was a guest in our hotel, we were the only ones feeding her. If it wasn't for management buying her water, fruits, nuts and cheeses, and little bits like that, I don't think those two would have survived. Wheelchair Lady wasn't the person paying for the room, it was someone who wasn't a guest. Yet, Wheelchair Lady always felt she had the right to view the bill and get access to the information that the paying person had to leave with us. Also, we're a non-smoking hotel. About 3 months into her stay, she started to think she could get away with smoking in her room, as if she wasn't only 3 doors down from the desk. So we'd charge the room a smoking fee. The person who was paying for her room would call, asking what the hell is up. We'd tell her. Then the next thing you know, Wheelchair Lady is rolling down to the desk to bitch. That is definitely not her, we're all dicks. It has to be Sophie, but it damn sure isn't her. Pfft. Charged a smoking fee weekly to that room. Once she felt comfortable, we started to see the demon side of her. She'd flip out at literally anything. If, say, she wanted to see the bill and we said no, oh holy hell did we open the gates of burning damnation. And if she wanted change, it better have a 1 or an 8, because those are God's numbers. Anything with a 6 on it was unworthy. So if we had 51s to go through and she needed $20, we better damn sure give her something with a 1 or an 8 and no 6. Anything else and there's a damn tantrum. Once she was outside smoking and the guest dropped $120, didn't mean to, and they noticed at check-in that it was missing. Another guest nearby looked out the front doors to see Wheelchair Lady picking up the money from the parking lot. Just after, she rolled in and exclaimed that God gave her the exact amount of money she needed for more medicine. A whopping $80. It was a windy day, so I expect the other $40 blew away. Else she lied about that amount so as to be less suspicious about taking the money she just saw a guest drop. The story goes like, I was just thinking about how much money I'm short for my medicine, and out from the sky came God's gift to me. Wheelchair Lady and Sophia regularly started having major spouts in the lobby and breakfast area, as well as in their room. Wheelchair Lady would start to complain to the desk, or literally any guest who'd listen, about how Sophia was trying to poison her, or make her hair fall out, by pouring rubbing alcohol in her waters. And in her shampoo. This hit a head halfway through their stay where Wheelchair Lady kicked Sophie out, and she was stuck living in a homeless shelter for a month. She did eventually take her back, and the fighting picked up from there. Wheelchair Lady would often call me in the middle of the night, asking me to keep the people in the hallway from screaming. There was never anyone in the hallway, and there were never any screams. One day in December, Wheelchair Lady gave me a heavy, nice UPS jacket that a fellow co-worker had given to her. Didn't tell me where it came from, just that it was given to her and it doesn't fit, and I should have it. I reluctantly took the jacket, and found out 2 days later that it was the part-time auditor's gift to Wheelchair Lady, because she was complaining of a need for a coat, and that PA would have preferred that Wheelchair Lady had asked her first if it was alright to re-gift. PA and I were fine over the arrangement. It didn't fit either of us, but it did still fit me best, and she was never going to wear it. The fight between Wheelchair Lady and PA lasted nearly a month and a half, because PA was upset about the re-gifting. She made a point to tell Wheelchair Lady how she felt, and that proceeded to get Wheelchair Lady on her case, coming to the desk to yell at PA to the point of making her cry. PA recorded her, but this state, that's illegal to do, so I won't be posting those. Just trust. Those are pretty awful words she was spouting. A long-time guest came to PA's aid. He was there on a long-term work project and shut Wheelchair Lady down. And from then on, Wheelchair Lady proceeded to target the next person until she was tired of fighting over mundane things, and the other person and another person, until she snapped out at exactly every employee from GM to the newest housekeeper, except for me. I learned that the more I played dumb and passed the issues over to the GM, the better off I'd be, and I felt that was punishment enough for the GM to have to deal with this stuff because Wheelchair Lady was putting everyone through hell. The GM should have a taste too. Soon after, other desk employees that Wheelchair Lady was starting to mend friendly relations with, when it wasn't the person to hate of the week, would start to follow my dumbass lead. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. You'll have to speak with the general manager. Safer than saying a simple, you can't do that. That implied you had authority. Wheelchair Lady would start to park in front of the coffee at breakfast, and bitch loudly and profoundly at how much she despises the hotel, about how much she despises the hotel, about how much she hates all of the employees and how there are roaches and the breakfast staff doesn't use gloves when they cook. Pretty much bullshit. We keep up with all of our shit, pass inspections wonderfully, and win awards out the ass. I've also never seen a roach in my 5 years there. Barely even beetles. My war is with the mosquitoes. Guests started to actively complain about her parking at the coffee. She'd actually sit there upwards of an hour at times, and people started to avoid breakfast because of her. Yet, GM allowed her to do what she wanted. It was near the end of her stay that she finally exploded at most every guest in the hotel, going so far as to say she'd cut off the guys' penises and make them eat them while drinking their own blood, because they wouldn't get her pills and were always causing trouble with her, when she was only defending her helpless self against us evil employees. She finally exploded at me 2 weeks before her departure, because I refused to give her the bill she wasn't entitled to, and also that she snapped on a breakfast person that I was actually there at the time to defend. The one that was driving her to and from Philly for 3 months by this point, that I had mentioned in the previous post. I don't know what the fight was about. I just heard commotion and quickly left the desk to tell Wheelchair Lady to shove it. I thought for sure I would get a write-up for the things I said, but I didn't. And my closing statement was something along the lines of, you've got to wonder why you literally have no one in your life when you're treating everyone like shit. I felt bad about it, but I hope she thinks about that from time to time. I can't think of much else, but I can talk about the diseases she claimed to have had. She swore she was having a stroke upwards of 3 times a week. If she would get a muscle spasm in her eye, she would yell wolf and claim it's a stroke, going so far as to garner sympathy from return guests when they'd see her again. She busted her aorta and would always try to point it out, clearly not knowing where an aorta was even located. She'd point to the middle of her ribs on her left-hand side, like on her actual side. She would wake up sweaty and claim that that was a heart attack, and that she got those often, but she survived all of these things because God is a miracle worker, and God has a plan for her to go out and do good in the world with her millions, and find good people to share with. But Sophia was truly sweet. They met on the streets, and they banded together to help each other survive, and Wheelchair Lady's story was getting them help and traction. Before they stayed at the hotel with us, they spent 11 days at the casino broke and homeless, until the person who paid for their room happened to notice them and fall for the sympathy trap. Sophia followed Wheelchair Lady, having nowhere else to go. All of her family is in Haiti, so she put up with Wheelchair Lady's manipulations and whatnot. Also, Sophia was never actually putting anything in the water or shampoo. Wheelchair Lady is just legitimately crazy. As far as I'm aware, they've left the state. Wheelchair Lady keeps trying to call some staff members stupid enough to give her their phone number to cause problems. But GM finally stepped up her game and banned Wheelchair Lady from the property. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Confessions of a Hotel Worker number 3. Big thanks to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Yes, I know the first story technically wasn't a hotel worker, but it was going to fit in here better than anywhere else. Plus, it was in the hotel workers sub. Now, I do apologise. I've done my best to filter it out, but my neighbours are, and God bless them, they've been having a good time this Saturday. That's fine. So there's been very loud music that someone seems to periodically be turning up and down. And they've been out the back. My neighbour's got some decking in his backyard, so it's quite a comfy looking area to sit. So they've been having a good time chatting out there. And then, of course, there's, for some reason, the usual banging doors, and also there was screaming children added in halfway through, so that was pleasant. Now, just so we're clear on the matter, I couldn't give a toss, usually, if they're having the parties and that, because, I enjoy singing at the top of my lungs throughout the night. I probably get a bit loud while recording my videos as well. Well, I definitely get a bit loud while recording my videos if I need to be loud in them. But when I'm trying to record, I get extra frustrated, especially when I've been trying to record my last 2 videos so that I can then get to editing all my audio and start making the videos for my week off, which is pretty much what I'm going to be doing. We're getting to late on Saturday now, and I've only got 1 video done. I should have had both of them done by this point. And I'll be doing Saturday and Sunday. I'll be actually making the videos and uploading them for the next week. And then once things are wrapped on Sunday, I won't be recording again till the following Monday. And ramble, Hellfreezer. Pull your head together, son. Anyway, like I say, I wouldn't ordinarily mind them making noise. God bless them, let them have their fun, but... Okay, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.